Okay. Copyright infringement. Copyright. I did not know that certain things are copyright infringement. The copyright law is so vague and complicated that how are people supposed to know when they're breaking the law anyway? First of all, I didn't know that as soon as you posted something, it was considered copyrighted. I also looked it up, and it's hard. You're supposed to get permission from the original person that made it. Also, things are supposed to stay copyrighted for 70 years before it's allowed to be in the public domain. That's crazy. The law is messed up. That's the problem. The problem is the law has got way too much things, and it's just crazy. Oh my gosh. I thought that as soon as you posted anything publicly, that it was already in the public domain because you posted it publicly. Public domain, public. Also, I thought that if you weren't doing any financial harm to somebody, there was no reason there wasn't no problems. I mean, I thought that you could only be like sued or harmed for copyright infringement if you didn't give credit to the original person. And just like in literature already has the law in place that you can use a certain amount of other people's literature or writings as long as you give source material. So I personally thought that would apply to videos. Thus, meaning that as soon as you gave credit to the original owner of it by, putting in the comments, the link to the original video or the link to that person's channel or whatever, or the link to that person's website or whatever. I believed that would suffice for permission granted. But apparently now you have to have permission and do that. Okay, well, copyright laws, there's a big list of them, and they got so many damn words that they need to make them simpler. Put them in easy to understand English. Instead, the government has the words written so complicated that you need a fucking lawyer just to freaking read them and tell you what some of the words mean and explain it to you. Stop making laws complicated. One, governments, stop making laws complicated. If the average citizen can't read it and comprehend it in plain, easy to understand English, then the law is void by being too complicated to understand, in my opinion. So, thing is, I deleted the video. I deleted the rants about the videos. I didn't know about this copyright stuff. I understand ignorance of the law is not a good excuse for breaking the law, but actually it is the best excuse for breaking the law, because somebody should explain the laws a little better. And that somebody should be the government, the ones creating those damn laws. Y'all don't explain the laws very good, and then you expect us to follow them? That's your fault, government. Your fault. Also, if anything, copyright laws should be less complicated. They should be more easy to understand. I found out by doing a little bit of research on copywriting that one, copyright automatically applies as soon as I upload this video or any video. And that anybody who wants to use a video has to have permission. Now, the permission can be a verbal permission, it can be written permission, or whatever. So, if I broke copyright infringement laws, all these reaction videos that people have done on other people's videos, all of those, every single one of them is in violation of copyright infringement. Because I've never seen or heard that people, all I've ever seen is that they gave the link to the original video in the description. Using 1 second of a video. But based on what the law actually pretty much says, using 1 second of a video without the person's specific permission, written or verbal, is a violation of what's known as, would be a copyright infringement. Just using 1 second would be a copyright infringement based on the law, if you don't have permission to do so. Well, that's crazy, because all these reaction videos actually show the whole entire video, and they're reacting. They got like a split screen or whatever where you see them reacting to what someone else did in the other person's video. I have not met a single one of these people. I've not ever heard of anything where these people had to get permission first. So all of those are in violation of copyright infringements. Every single one of them. Every single one of those videos, reaction videos, are in copyright infringements. Only thing I've seen in reaction videos is they gave a link to the original video. So so all reaction videos are copyright infringements. Matter of fact, all these movie review videos that actually use clips from movies and whatnot, they're infringing on copyright. All these memes that use pictures from a movie, aren't those considered copyright infringements? Seriously, there's so much copyright infringement going on that's not even being stopped. Nobody's suing. Nothing is going on. So I also found out that even though it's automatically copyrighted, it's still not 100% protected from being used. Even though this video and any video you post will be automatically copyrighted, the only way it's truly protected is if you go to the government copyright website to get an official copyright on every video. And that requires you to fill out a form that takes like maybe a couple minutes to fill out. And pay $60. So the only true way that your video will be protected legally is if you pay $60 for every single video. Then you have a legal copyright on every video. Who the hell has $60 to pay for every single video they put on these YouTubes? Even the YouTube content creators who got hundreds of thousands of subscribers aren't making $60 a video to be able to actually copyright it officially. So, unless someone has officially copyrighted it, there's really nothing anybody can do about it. And also, they look at like 4 factors, and one of the factors is financial gain. Did somebody, when someone steals something that's for copyright infringement, when you go to court about it, they look at various factors. One is, did they try to claim the video was theirs? I never tried to claim the video was mine. Another factor is, are they trying to do it to create, so another one of the major factors they look at in the copyright infringement cases is, was the copyright stolen in a way to create financial gain for the person who stole it? I wasn't trying to create any financial gain, so when I did it, which I didn't know it was a violation of copyright infringement when I did it anyway. Ugh. I mean, if anybody should be prosecuted, it should be the places that allow you to download videos in the first place, because apps that let you download a video are breaking the copyright infringement law, because in my opinion, they're the ones breaking the law. They're giving you a way where you can break the law, which is making them aiding and abetting before the fact, during the fact, and after the fact. By simply allowing people to download videos so that they can repost the videos on their own channels, or they can do a reaction video of that video on their video, or whatever, it is what is causing piracy and copyright infringements. So the real criminals are the apps that let you download the videos. The corporations are allowing these downloads to exist. So if anybody's criminal or should be also prosecuted, it should be the app or the location that allows you to put the video in, then allowing your video to be downloaded. By allowing a video to be downloaded, you are allowing people to steal videos. There is the crime, in my opinion. The crime should be, it's like trying to blame, it's like trying to say, it's like, okay, it's like trying to say, okay, the criminal was wrong, and trying to prosecute the criminal, but then you allowed a way for the criminal to break the law, and you also made the law vague, but then you or didn't never tell the person that was against the law, and then you want to prosecute the guy for you want to prosecute somebody for breaking the law that you enabled him to be able to do. You enabled them to be able to do it, and you never informed them that was against the law. Citizens should be purvey to all laws created. Purvey. They should know about them. All laws that exist should be known. And you shouldn't be companies, businesses, and people should not be doing things to enable someone to break the law. So when I get prosecuted for speeding, let's just say, for example, it's partially the corporation that made the car's fault. They made the car. Yes, it is my fault for speeding, but it's also partially the company that made the car's fault. They made the car where it can violate the speed limit. So they enabled me to break the law. Are they not partially responsible for the crime? In my opinion, they are partially responsible for the crime of speeding, of everybody who's ever speeded, because they simply made a vehicle that can violate the speed limit. But does anybody find the automobile industry on an average basis for making vehicles that can violate the law? No, they find the actual person who broke the law. Even though that person wouldn't have been able to break the law if they hadn't have created a way for him to break the law, or them to break the law, him or her. So the problem is, you're wanting to enforce the individual to obey laws they don't know about, one, and laws that they are allowed or able to break because of somebody else creating something that would allow them to break the law, and then you don't want to prosecute the people who enabled a way to break the law. That's on y'all. And it's crazy that copyrights last 70 years. That's crazy. I mean, I could see copyrights lasting maybe 5 years. But 70 years, that's crazy. That's crazy. 70 years, it's insane. Patents. If copyrights last 70 years, why does Monopoly recopyright their Monopoly games every like 10? Seriously. Copyrights shouldn't last 70 years. That's ridiculous. Literally, that's ridiculous. I assumed that copyright dates lasted maybe 10 years at most, because every time I buy board games, and it's like a second edition of the board game, or whatever, it'll have a different copyright date, and I've never seen a copyright date that was like, they're like 5, the longest I've seen one to another was like, I think 10 years, where it's been recopyrighted after 10 years. Now, that might be patent and trademarking, copywriting, but they all should be basically simply the same concept, but they're not, and that's what's confusing. Trademarks are one thing, copyrights are another thing, and patents are another thing. They all need to be basically lumped in. All three of them need to be put in the same area, and the laws need to be basically the same for all three of them, and then stuff needs to be put in the public domain a little faster. 70 years. Oh my gosh. The person who made the original copyright is probably dead by then. Oh my gosh. Put stuff in the public domain faster. Knowledge needs to be public. Knowledge needs to be public. We cannot expand on knowledge, and we cannot expand on creating new product and new patents and new science if we have to wait 70 years before we're allowed to use it. So 5 years should be the maximum cap of how long something should be copyrighted, patented, trademarked, whatever. And then you should apply to be allowed to make another 5 years for it. Oh. Anyway, the point is that I didn't know all this copyright stuff, and that the copywriting laws, they're kind of too vague, and they're also too complicated. They're both too vague and too complicated at the same time. They don't write it in clear, understandable English. Clear, understandable English would be everything that you post is every video you make is automatically copyrighted. Copyright infringement would only count if you legitimately steal something in a way to try to make money off of it. That's basically would be basically the simple form. And that's basically the truth, because nobody is going to spend money on lawyers to fight most copyright infringement claims. It would be stupid. it costs you $60 to buy a copyright. It costs you $600 to get a small-time lawyer just to get into it. They make it where it's too expensive to get a copyright for most people, so that their stuff can be protected. And then they make it where once a legitimate case actually does happen, it'll cost you a lot of money to be able to actually go to court over it. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Copyrighting stuff is just crazy. It's just insane. They even said that the poor man's copyright technically don't count. Now, the poor man's copyright is when you remail or resend something that you made to yourself through like the mail. Now, why people claim that should work is because you put a government stamp on it, which means the government put a stamp of approval on the package when it sent it back to them. But the law actually says technically that isn't going to work for what's known as a poor man's copyright. That doesn't really work. If it did, it kind of should, but it don't. And the reason it should is because it's cheaper to buy a stamp than it is to pay $60 to file for a copyright. And that's probably why it should. And that's why people are trying to do that. But they say technically they don't count. But technically everything, as soon as it's filmed or recorded, like voice recording, is copyrighted. But most cases of copyright infringement are just ignored because people don't do anything about it, or they didn't really truly protect their copyright, and it's going to be too expensive to protect your copyright anyway. So if anything, the people that are in fault on copywriting laws are the government, those who enable people to be able to break it, so the corporations, and of course the idea that you have to pay money to the government for its protection. The government should protect you, the citizens, because you are a citizen, not because you paid them money to do so. You shouldn't have to pay additional money to get an additional protection, and not an exorbitant amount. If anything, it should be cheap. Like, I don't know, $1. And it should be max capped at $1. All protections, copyright, trademarks, patents, should be protected for $1. And that way, seriously, that way people could afford to actually protect their stuff. But $60 for a copyright, that's crazy. Crazy. Now, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar corporations can afford to do that stuff. They got money. They can easily copyright and patent and trademark everything. And this is why you, as an employee, don't have any power. Because you, as an employee, you come up with an idea while you're while working. You came up with that idea on the company's time and during the company's brainstorming session, so officially it becomes their idea, the company's idea, because you're on the clock, which is wrong on the company's part, but they can afford to pay the $60 copyright thing. They have lawyers and shit, and all of a sudden you're not even, you might be mentioned. But the only place you're mentioned in is in maybe the filing for the protection. You might be mentioned there, but you're not given any financial compensation. So the law needs to be fixed where employees get financial compensation for their ideas. and that employees get the get their copyright for their idea, even when the employee gets the copyright, the patent, or the trademark for their ownership rights for their idea, even when they are working for a company. That's how it needs to be. If anything, we need the laws fixed for more consumer protection, not corporate protection. More consumer protection, not government protection. Less spending. The idea that it costs so much money to be allowed to do it is hurting the content creator, hurting the original person. To make it where it's so expensive to stop somebody else from doing it is hurting it. The government's not stopping people who are doing it. Most people are not even alerting the government. The government should not have to be alerted. See, there's the thing. The government should not have to be alerted to when this happens. The government should automatically step in when it happens and get on the ball. That's their job. Protect the consumers and the copywriters and the creators. That's their job, and they're not, and they're dropping the ball. The government's dropping the ball, corporations are dropping the ball, and most people are just let it go. And there's where the problem is. The problem is that it's too complicated, the laws are too complicated, and it's too expensive, and nobody's actually going to enforce it. Half the time it doesn't even get enforced. That's why we need to make copyright laws go into the public, copyright patents and trademarks go into the public domain faster, so people won't be getting these stupid lawsuits. I mean, if somebody wanted to be an asshole, they could literally do that and sue somebody over something stupid like that and cause financial ruin and problems to somebody. But that would be being an asshole. I don't see why people want to be assholes. For the most part, can't everybody just get along? Can't everybody share everything? Weren't we taught in school and when we were kids that sharing was fine as long as you give people credit for what you share? I thought that was a universal concept, that I could use your stuff as long as I gave it back or gave you permission or gave you credit for it. Like, instead of saying, "Oh, that's my idea," "Oh, I got that idea from this other guy, can't remember when," or I read, like, or say, "Well, I read that in a book somewhere," or "I read that in a newspaper somewhere." So that's giving credit to somebody. Now, most of the time, you don't remember where you learned this or got this idea from or anything, so it's kind of hard to give credit. But at least you can admit that it's not yours, thus you're not stealing it. But seriously. Who has the time, though? I mean, gosh. Who really has the time to make sure nobody's stealing your content? Who really has the time? Seriously, who has the time? And who really, on average, has the money to protect it and to get lawyers to sue folks? The easiest thing you can do is ask them to delete the video, which I did. But to have your friends, family, your secondary channel, or your people get on the person's channel and harass them over something after they've deleted the video is wrong. If you're not, let's see, how should I put this? If it doesn't affect you, you should stay out of it. Things should be between one person and another person. Between one person and another person. If the original person asks you to delete it, you should delete it, which I did, and it should be let go there. But when they go on your other videos and make comments and spam and harass you over stuff, that is when that person has crossed the line. When they didn't give... Okay, they asked me to delete it. I was trying to get to deleting it. By the time I got to try to delete the video, the person had then gone on. The person has threatened to tell YouTube I was going to do a copyright violation. And they had jumped to other videos of mine. Instead of keeping it in-house on the one video that was guarded. Then they proceeded to have their army of subscribers, who most of them who've commented have had either 0 or 1 subscriber on their thing. So they're not even YouTubers. So they should stay out of it. But instead, they don't want to. Anyway, that's beside the point. Which is harassment. I don't like the harassment. That is what I'm fighting, is the harassment. I'll admit I did wrong. But I didn't know it was wrong. And I have deleted. I have deleted. So stop. Stop the harassment already. And anyway, remember, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Keep on gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Laws are too complicated. Make them simple. Jesus loves you. Jesus is God. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Government, start making the laws less complicated. And start making the corporations stop enabling us to be able to break the laws. They're just as guilty of us breaking the laws by making it where they enable a way for us to break the law. I wouldn't be able to speed if you didn't make a car that couldn't go over the speed limit. I wouldn't be able to copyright. I wouldn't be able to use someone else's videos if you didn't create a download button. That's your fault, not mine. I would know what the laws are if the government would ship me a letter telling me, oh, by the way, this new law was just created. They don't do that. They don't inform me. Maybe the government should have a YouTube channel or page or something where they go, and maybe the news should break and tell you. They should have like special breaking news, government created a new law, this is exactly what it means. And explain it to us so everybody would know. Ugh. They need to inform us when they create a law. How they expect us to obey laws that they don't inform us about? How they gonna prosecute me for something that's partially somebody else's fault? Anyway, that's my little rant about copyrights. Copyrights are cool to a degree, but what ain't right is the government's failure to make it easier and get into public domain faster. That's what's not right. Laters.